Well, good morning. And it is my sincere pleasure to be here with you today. It's been a while since we've been together, and actually, quite a lot has happened, hasn't it? Probably in our personal lives as well as in our extended community and the world around us. Sometimes I feel our world is deeply fractured, and we see the symptoms of this all around us. We see it in politics, we see it on social media, and sometimes we even see it in our families and communities. Unity does not teach us to look away from the world, but to see the world through the eyes of spirit and then participate in its transformation. We hold the unfolding drama of our time, not with numbness and despair, but with awake hearts, clear minds, and willing hands. We do not know exactly how the story will turn out, but we do know who we are choosing to be in the telling of it. Over the past few months, I have had conversations with people who have asked these questions. How do I show up in these uncertain and unsettling times? How do I know what to do? And how do I interact with and respond to everything happening in the world? For spiritually alive people, for people of deep and genuine faith, we don't want to surrender to despair and cynicism, reactivity and fragmentation. We want to be healed and empowered so we can participate in healing and empowering others. One way we can participate in this healing and empowering work is by exploring our consciousness, because I don't believe anyone has not felt frustrated or down at some point in the recent past. The Revealing Word, a dictionary of metaphysical terms, defines consciousness as the sense of awareness, knowing. This knowing is our capacity to transcend our intellectual knowledge. It's a feeling that we know we know. For example, in certain weather conditions, you say, man, the day is freezing cold. We're conscious of the cold. When we enter a dark room, we are mindful of the darkness. And when we turn on the light, we become conscious of the light. These are physical examples of consciousness. But we may also be conscious of things the senses cannot report. Some examples of these things are being courageous, compassionate, connected, believing we're enough, and forgiving ourselves and others. The sources of these feelings may be so remote from our perception that we can't determine where the feelings begin. When our consciousness is not associated with physical sources, we're more fully identified with our mind than when our consciousness is related to an object or experience presented by our physical senses. And in this instance, our mind is conscious only of a state that it has produced. Some call these thought reactions. For example, sensations of pain from a burn by a match are repeated in your mind at the sight of a match. I read about a teacher once who explained how we carry around our thought reactions. The teacher walked around the room while teaching, raising a glass of water. And as she raised a glass of water, some students expected her to ask the half empty or half full question. Instead, smiling, she asked, "How heavy is this glass of water?" Answers called out ranged from 8 ounces to 20 ounces. And she replied, "The absolute weight doesn't matter. It depends on how long I hold it. If I hold it for a minute, that's no problem. If I hold it for an hour, I'll have an ache in my arm. If I hold it for a day, my arm will feel numb and paralyzed." In each case, the weight of the glass doesn't change, does it? But the longer I hold it, the heavier it becomes. And she continued, "The stresses and worries in life are like this glass of water. Think about them for a while and nothing happens. Think about them a bit longer and they begin to hurt. And if you think about them all day long, you will feel paralyzed, incapable of doing anything." Often our thoughts take on a life of their own in the mental dialogue inside our heads. Have you ever noticed this? If you have, you may also realize it never stops. The voice keeps going on and on. Have you ever wondered why it talks in there? How does it decide what to say and when to say it? How much of what it says turns out to be true? How much of what it says is even important? And if right now you're hearing the voice say, "I don't know what she's talking about. I don't have a voice inside my head," that's the voice I'm talking about. If you've read the book, The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself by Michael A. Singer, you may recognize some of these questions. Mr. Singer emphasizes that the voice in our heads greatly influences the thoughts we hold and ultimately our consciousness. I like to think of our level of awareness as who we are, because this is what others see or hear in our reactions or responses to situations. But to be who you truly are, you must let go of who you think you are. The New Testament is full of Bible verses about directing our thoughts. One popular verse is Philippians 4, verses 8 and 9. "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things, what you have learned and received and heard and seen in me. Practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you. It's so tough to think about what is true, honorable, and worthy of praise when the voice in our head recites everything wrong in the world and our individual life experiences. To complicate matters even further, many of us believe that spirituality is intended to promote harmony and peace. But the diversity of our philosophies, beliefs, concepts, and views about spiritual matters often leads to confusion and conflict. Our efforts to develop spirituality often lead to notions of success and failure, and these thoughts then bind us to our self-judgments. Thoughts like, am I growing? Have I done anything wrong? Am I meditating enough? Michael Singer said in a recent interview, truth is only complicated because we pass it through our habitual thought patterns. When we step back from ourselves, truth becomes simple. There are not many paths to freedom. There is only one. And in the end, no matter what particular patterns of thought we have managed to build in our minds, freedom always means transcending these personal thought patterns. So, how do we transcend our personal self and awaken to spiritual freedom? How do we think about whatever is pure, lovely, commendable, and worthy of praise? Well, the first step is to realize who's there, who is showing up inside. There is a voice talking, and you notice it. It is essential for spiritual growth and raising our level of awareness that we recognize we are not the voice of the mind. We are the one who hears it. We are the ones who take a step back and notice that it's talking without allowing it to affect our consciousness. This practice of detachment is essential to awakening spiritual freedom. We also need to be aware of the universal law of mind action. It is usually said this way: thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. A more precise and accurate way of saying this is thoughts held in mind with feeling produce more thoughts with a feeling of the same kind in mind. When we hold a thought in mind with feeling, we give that thought life in our mind. And when we hang on tight to a thought in mind, we are desiring that thought. By observing these thoughts with detachment and not buying into each one as truth, we can transcend our personal selves and develop the spiritual freedom to determine who is showing up within. We all experience life from this inside presence. We are always inside presence, always, no matter what's happening, no matter the changing nature of our moods or the world around us. We are always inside presence, and our purpose as spiritual beings is to give voice to this presence. It sounds simple, but it's not easy. How easily we fall into the prison of forgetting, how easily we can be engulfed in the illusion of separation. But every time we return to our inside presence, we give form to that presence. Living from our inside presence is a constant choice of surrender. It means acknowledging what arises in our life experiences, moods, and consciousness without becoming attached to it or identifying with it. Thich Nhat Hanh says, to be empty is to be full of everything except a separate sense of self. This is about letting go of all the little identities formed by our habitual thought reactions and attachments, and living from inside presence. Being spiritually grounded, though, does not mean being disengaged. It means we are anchored deeply enough in truth that we can stand in the storm without becoming the storm. Our grounding is in the Christ within, the steady, courageous, compassionate presence that sees clearly, loves boldly, and acts wisely. My answer to all the questions about how to show up, what is mine to do, and how to interact with the circumstances of this world is to surrender and live inside the presence, moment by moment. We each have different experiences in our life journeys. We are each provided with many opportunities to dig deep and become more aware of who is showing up within us. I've learned that the voice in my head thrives on whatever my attention chooses to give it. The thoughts we hold in mind, accompanied by our feelings, do affect our consciousness and life experiences. Push the sacred pause button when you feel things getting overwhelming or out of control. Take a deep breath and step back. Observe your thoughts and feelings objectively. See them through the lens of spiritual truth. Then gently let go of them rather than anchoring yourself in them. So you can embrace the best of who you are, the real you, the Christ within. Then whatever is true, honorable, just, or pure, whatever is lovely or commendable, if there is any excellence, anything worthy of praise, we can think about these things, we can practice these things. We can be a healing, harmonizing presence in the world. And in the process, we'll know the truth about ourselves, and it will set us free. Namaste, my friend.